The Tennessee Volunteers were one of the mild surprises of 2022. In fact, you may even could call them a major surprise, as they were ranked number one in the country for a little bit last year. Josh Heupel's team was this close to getting into the college football playoff conversation, if not for a late game in the year against South Carolina. But hey, this Tennessee team is going over some overhaul. They've used the portal well, and expectations are high for 2023. Will Tennessee end up making their way to Atlanta in the SEC championship game, or will Tennessee take a bit of a nosedive now that their quarterback is gone this upcoming season? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. Prediction season is here, and I'm predicting all 133 college football FBS teams. It means I'm doing your favorite teams. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. But hey, there are other ways you can help me support my channel. You're doing one right now. My apologies, by watching this video, but you can like, comment, share, anything to help support the channel means a lot to me. Let's talk about Tennessee in 2023, how we do prediction videos this year. We go through a roster overview where I take a look at some of the players that are leaving this team, as well as players that are returning and coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting class. And then we go ahead, game by game, predict the entirety of Tennessee's schedule. So Tennessee football in 2023 has got some lofty expectations above it. Josh Heupel has done a phenomenal job. Let's see what this team's roster is looking like in 2023. And again, I keep forgetting to say this in videos, but I cannot put everyone's name on there. So if you have a player who could be an X factor, put it in the comment section down below, Tennessee fans. Starting with the most important position on the field, the quarterback position. Yes, you do lose Hendon Hooker. He was phenomenal for this team while he was on Tennessee. 3,135 yards, 69% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions for Hendon Hooker last year. However, you do return one of the biggest arms in college football in Joe Milton. 82 pass attempts last year, had just shy of 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, no picks for him, 64% completion percentage, and the number 3 nationally ranked player, number 2 quarterback in the class of 2023, according to 24/7. I know I'm going to mispronounce this name, so I apologize. Nico Iamaleava. I don't even know if that's how you say it, but that's how I'm going to say Iamaleava comes in. Probably will not get the starting job. I'm going to leave that one to Joe Milton, but the future at quarterback looks bright for Tennessee, that's for sure. In the running back room, hey, you return pretty much everybody, right? Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson were your first, second, and fourth leading rushers on the team last year. Wright and Small had a combined 23 touchdowns on the ground for Tennessee last year. In the wide receiver room, okay, this is where you start taking some hits, as Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman, both of them are gone out the door. Jalen Hyatt was huge for this team last year, almost 1,300 receiving yards and 15 touchdowns. You also lose Walker Merrill in that position grouping as well. But hey, in the wide receiver room, you still got your second leading receiver coming back. That's Brew McCoy. Squirrel White also comes back to this team. And Ramel Keaton. That was your second, third, and fourth leading receivers on the team last year. And then, hey, why not go ahead and bolster up the wide receiver core? You get a transfer from the University of Oregon, and Deontay Thornton should be a big part to what Tennessee's doing in the wide receiver room this year. In the tight end room, well, okay, so you lose Princeton Fant, but you're going to return Jacob Warren, and you get a transfer coming in McAllen Castles there as well. Castles may be the feature at tight end, but if not, then Jacob Warren, a very solid option back there, had 163 receiving yards last season. In the offensive line room, well, a big loss on the offensive line is Darnell Wright, but you also lose Jerome Carvin. You return Javontes Spraggins, but a lot of it through the transfer portal. John Campbell and Andre Carrick come in for this team. Moving on over to the defensive side of the ball, you're going to lose Byron Young, but you return Roman Harrison, Tyler Barron, and Omari Thomas. This team was not a team that defensively generated a whole ton of sacks last year. Harrison had 3 of them last year, though, for this team. And then Omari Thomas had 2. Tyler Barron had 2.5, but Byron Young arguably was the team's best defensive lineman, and he has since gone. In the linebacking room, you lose Jeremy Banks, was your 5th leading tackler last season. Jawan Mitchell is also gone. He was a key part to what they did in the linebacking room. And Solon Page. You're going to return Aaron Beasley, who was your leading tackler last year, also had 3 sacks, 3 passes defended, 76 tackles. And you're going to get some transfers coming in, one of which is Keenan Peely. He is coming over from BYU, a 4-star rated transfer, according to 24/7. And then a freshman coming in Arian Carter, 127th rated prospect, according to 24/7, is projected to put in some big-time minutes for this Volunteer football team. In the defensive back room, well, you lose Trayvon Flowers, but that kind of really is your only loss. In the secondary room, this is going to be a really good and experienced secondary for Tennessee in 2022. You transfer in Gabe Judy-Lawley, I believe also from BYU, as I fact-check that. That is correct. But then you return pretty much everybody. Jalen McCullough, Tamarian McDonald, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this name, but Doneko Slaughter. You also are going to return Wesley Walker, Kamal Hayden, and Christian Charles. That's a really good secondary group right there for Tennessee. So all in all, when I look up and down this roster, not too worried about the offensive groupings, especially with Joe Milton having one of the biggest arms. And we'll see what this defense is going to be able to do for Tennessee. But this roster sets up great for Coach Josh Heupel. His offensive coordinator is Joey Housel, defensive coordinator in Tim Banks. Let's take a look, after no further delay, to the Tennessee schedule in 2023. Hey, if a game is at home, it's going to be underlined. If a game is on the road, it's in italics or the slanted text. And neutral site games are listed accordingly. If a game's date is highlighted in green, it's going to be a blowout win, in my opinion. In yellow, the game stays close. So maybe watch out for a potential upset, but Tennessee should be able to win that game. And then if it's in red, that's a game I, unfortunately, for Volunteer fans, have Tennessee dropping. So without further ado, let's jump into Tennessee in 2023, starting off with what I think is going to be a pretty easy game for Tennessee. Now, I know it's in a neutral site. They're going to play the game in Nashville, but Virginia might be one of the worst Power 5 teams this year. I mean, they lose pretty much everybody. Brennan Thompson is gone. They lose a lot of players in the skill positions. That defense is going to be ravaged. I don't think Tony Elliott's group is going to be ready to face a team like Tennessee's caliber in week 1. I just don't see Virginia being that good. I see this being a pretty easy game for Tennessee to be able to go in there and walk out with a win. Same thing with Austin Peay. Tennessee's going to roll them over pretty easily. So 2 easy wins, in my opinion, for Tennessee to start off 2023. And then, if you've watched my SEC videos in the past, the 3 that I've done already, 2 of those teams play Florida, and I just have not been confident in what the Florida Gators are going to put up in 2023. However, I do believe that Florida is going to be a pretty solid team at home, and I think Florida is going to win at least a game this year that maybe they necessarily shouldn't. And I think they're going to pull off an upset of some caliber. This is a game right here that I do have Tennessee dropping. Now, there is undeniable doubt that Tennessee is the more talented team than Florida. But this is college football, and sometimes losses like this happen where you go on the road in a tough environment. Maybe you don't play your best game. Whatever the case may have you, I do have Florida beating Tennessee in 2023. UTSA is going to be one of the better group of 5 teams in 2023, and they maybe can give Tennessee a little fight for a quarter, maybe a half, if not 2.5, 3 quarters. But this is the game that I see Tennessee being able to run away with down the stretch. Going to be an interesting quarterback battle there between Joe Milton and Frank Harris. South Carolina is next up on the schedule, and I got to tell you, I like what Shane Beamer has got going on with the South Carolina Gamecocks. However, I do not think South Carolina is going to be up to the caliber of Tennessee, especially since this game is going to be played in Neyland Stadium. Don't get me wrong, I like Spencer Rattler. I like some of the transfers that the South Carolina team has brought in. And South Carolina, I think, is going to surprise people in the SEC this year, but I do not see them beating Tennessee on the road. So Tennessee gets a close, maybe a little bit of an uncomfortable win for Tennessee here, but they're going to start off the year 4-1 here with that win. And then they get their bye week. So you start off 4-1. Again, that loss to Florida just maybe shaking out some things to work out with for Tennessee. And you're feeling good, right? You're feeling pretty good, but the back half of this schedule does get a little tricky, as you do have Texas A&M. Now, again, Tennessee probably going to have more talent than Texas A&M does this year, but this is a make-or-break year for Jimbo Fisher and company. Texas A&M is going to fight in every single game that they play, and while I do think the Aggies keep this one close, I do not see them pulling out a win against Josh Heupel's Volunteers in Neyland Stadium. So after a hard-fought game against Texas A&M, first half of the season is done. You're starting 5-1, and then here you go. The rivalry game, the third Saturday in October. You're going on the road to play Alabama. Now, Alabama is going to be a team this year that is going to be a force to be reckoned with, as they usually are year in and year out. And this is an Alabama team that, again, people may have think like, well, Alabama's going to take some steps back this year, right? Wrong. Alabama's one of the betting favorites to win the national title for a reason, is because Nick Saban knows what he's doing. Look at all the national championship trophies. Alabama's loss to Tennessee last year was for the first time in quite some time, right? Tennessee was able to defeat Alabama. They threw the goalpost in the Tennessee River. It was this whole big thing. Well, there's no Tennessee River near Bryant-Denny Stadium, and I think Alabama's going to celebrate being able to beat Tennessee again this year. I just do not see Tennessee going in to Bryant-Denny Stadium, one of the toughest, most underrated places to play, and Tennessee, I think, is going to walk away with their second loss on the year in Week 8 here, third Saturday of October. I think they dropped that game, so Tennessee now drops to 5-2. And this is another tricky game here. Going on the road to play Kentucky. Kentucky's got Devin Leary. This can be an SEC sleeper team. Not going to surprise me if Kentucky is able to pull this one out, but I do not have Kentucky pulling out the upset here on this one. I do have Tennessee being able to pull this game out. Again, if Kentucky wins this game, do not be surprised. Devin Leary is a lot better of a quarterback than people give him credit for, and Kentucky did well in the portal, but Tennessee not going to lose back-to-back games this year, coming off a game where they know they need to play better after that loss to Alabama, and they beat Kentucky. Should be an easy one here with UConn, and while UConn is improving, nowhere near the level of Tennessee, I think they're going to have a little bit of an interesting time with Missouri here. Again, that's a fringe bowl game team. For me, not quite sure about that coaching staff. I think the talent's definitely there to make a bowl game. I think the coaching staff holding them back a little bit with Eli Drinkwitz. Tennessee wins. A little bit of a nail-biter. Again, Missouri did a similar thing to Georgia last year. And speaking of Georgia, here is that Georgia game. Now, if you're going to want to look for a loss on the Georgia schedule, you're probably going to want to look to this game right here against Tennessee. However, I see it as Tennessee just not, again, going to be up to the standard that Georgia is this year. I think Tennessee, especially offensively, we know they play fast. I think they are one of the most schematically sound offenses in the entire country. But this is Georgia we're talking about, right? Georgia's won back-to-back national titles, and this is a Georgia team that may even take a step up offensively this year. If you see my SEC video, you know Georgia goes undefeated. But I don't think Tennessee is going to beat Georgia in 2023. I just don't think it's going to happen. And then an easy win with, although Vanderbilt is improving, I don't think Tennessee is going to beat Vanderbilt this year, which leads me to a record of 9-3. Again, this team can go 10-2. This team could even go 11-1, which is my ceiling. Again, that Florida loss I think is unexpected, but I think it's coming. When you lose to programs the caliber of Alabama and Georgia, though, can't really be too disappointed. Again, 9-3, maybe not what Volunteer fans are going to hope for, but it's the record I think they're going to get. So Tennessee, in my opinion, goes 9-3. Let me know your predictions for the Volunteers in the comment section down below. Until my next prediction videos, we continue with the SEC. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next one. Goodbye.